I'm now going to talk about Trident Maples. You see the size of this Trident Maple. It's as tall as I am. It's about 5 foot tall. There's a history to this tree. I imported this tree back in 1988. One of the first Tridents I ever imported, and it was sold to my customer in 1989, I think, and this customer has had it ever since. So this customer calls me every few months to look after the tree. So I've been caring for this tree many, many years. It is now 35 years I've been looking after this tree for the customer. But I imported it originally. And these are all his trees which are in my care because he is on holiday. So I have these customers who bring their trees to me for care. And I'm showing you this trident because I believe it's one of the largest tridents you'll ever find. I hope I can find a picture of this tree when I imported it back in 1988 or 89. And it was not as big as this. It was about 2/3 the size. So it's grown in all that time. So you will know that I am extremely fond of tridents. I have some very, very nice tridents. I will show you some still photographs of the tridents I've made in my time. And the secret of growing tridents big and strong is to grow them alternately in the ground and then in pots, and that's how they get thick. I think I may have shown you one or two tridents that I've been working on. I literally have still about 20 large tridents, and these were the batch I imported, I think in 1993. So there are tridents in all different stages of training. And let me show you, I think I showed you this one last year because I showed the trunk on this tree, but the growth is so vigorous that you can barely see the trunk. Look at all this bindweed. And underneath this big bush, don't worry, I'll do that. Yes. And you can see the trunk of this. I will show it to you when the leaves have fallen. But this is how we grow our tridents. I can assure you this one has got like 18-inch diameter trunk at the base. Look at that. So this is what happens when you grow them in the ground. So this has been in the ground for the last 5 years, but it was in a pot before. So I keep taking it out of the pot, into the ground, out of the pot, into the ground. These, by the way, are the large yews that we dug up last year. Let me show you another couple of tridents. So we do grow our trees in the field for thickening and regrowing the branches, restyling them. So let's have a look from this side and I will show you another big beast. So this one, look at the base of this tree. Some of the branches have to be restyled, remade. I'm not too bothered about that. I'm not too bothered about this because branches are very easy to grow. So sometimes the branches grow in the wrong place, so we have to grow new ones. But what I've been trying to do with this one is to get a better taper. So I let it grow strong, as I've always told you, to strengthen the tree. And when they are strong enough, I then cut them back to give it the final shape. So all this growth has been allowed to develop in the summer, and it's all to get a decent taper. So I will study the taper, but now that it's grown so much, I have to decide whether to cut all the branches off at this stage or not. Probably not. So I'm looking for the taper all the time. That is the front. Look at this. This is just shoots in 2 months. All that's green growth. Lots of cuttings. I find that trident cuttings are not that easy to strike. We prefer to grow them from seed or air layer. Even the air layer is not as easy as doing the ordinary Japanese maple or mountain maple. So I'm looking still for this of course is the preferred front. I'm looking for a decent taper so I can see where I'm going. Look at that shoot growing straight up. That could be a new branch, so I have to be careful how I keep this. So if you home in here, you can see that is the new taper I'm trying to create over there, and that's going to go up there. So I will bring the silky saw in a minute just to get at it. Late summer is a very good time to start doing this work because all the energies have gone into the branches and trunk, and I can now start refining. Many of these trees I like to develop because it's great fun, but I've always said that because I'm a maple man, you cannot do instant videos with deciduous trees. Unlike a conifer, a pine or juniper, you put a few wires on the tree, do a bit of carving and sculpting, you get an instant bonsai. With a deciduous tree, very often the demonstration is cutting all the branches off just to get the trunk line, and you leave it for another 3 or 5 years. So what demonstration is that? You'll never get a demonstration, a viable demonstration in a short space of time. I'm now going to stop the video for a minute, and I'm going to get a saw and I'm going to cut some of the unwanted branches off, and then we will show you how I develop the trunk line and the new taper. Sometimes branches die, so we get rid of them. I'm not bothered about thick branches dying because I want thin branches. So this is the view of the tree from the front, and if we home in close, you can see I'm trying to create a taper from this one so that I've got this line coming like this, and then going back. So this is going to be superfluous. If I leave too many, I know that I will get inverse taper. So that one is coming off. So let's get rid of this one. So it's done its job. Okay. Okay, so I've got to now see, look at all that beautiful stuff. I could aerate it, but how much can I aerate? Look at all that stuff. All 1 year's growth. 1 year's growth. And these new shoots, if they're sprouting up, I don't want them. I've got enough taper there now. And this also shooting up, I really don't need that. That's growing straight up. That's 1 year's growth. Look at it. 1 year's growth. 1 year's growth. Yeah. So I can do that. So I'm looking for that. Okay, so I'm going to aim for a taper from somewhere here. So probably I should cut this off. So I'm going to develop that as a new taper, like that. It's so young, but I bet you anything, it will grow in no time at all. And all the thick branches I don't want, I'm going to cut them off. Too many thick branches. So you can see we are virtually starting again. And this is where the element of patience comes in. In bonsai, I know that we can make trees in virtually no time, but when all is said and done, there is an element of waiting. And if you're too impatient, then I don't think you will make much progress. It seems pretty brutal to be doing this, but you see where we're coming from. We've determined the shape, we've got this into a nice, healthy, strong tree, and then that is going to form the taper from this side. Some of these can be sacrificial branches, but we could take them off next year when we've got all the branches growing in the right place. So as I say, watch this space and you will see all sorts of transformations taking place. Let me move to another one just to show you for good measure. There's another one, not as big, over here. By the way, some of these trees suffered very badly in the previous winter when we had very, very cold temperatures. So many of the branches died. And the only way I could save them was to grow them in the ground. So this has become a bit of a one-sided tree. But if I can just take some of the dead branches off, just home in on it. These poor trees struggle among the weeds and the debris here, but the soil is so rich that the weeds grow as strong as the trees. Many people are afraid of cutting thick branches, but as we say, they will grow again very quickly. If you leave the little stumpy bits, it makes these gnarled features. Not everyone likes them, but some people like them. So we will see. If you didn't like it, you can just cut it off. So look at that. Again, all that thick branch in a couple of weeks. So you don't have to worry about getting new branches. It is really so quick and so rapid. The over-vigorous shoots I cut off. I only keep the ones that I want. But as I say, meanwhile, I always grow a certain number of branches to strengthen the whole tree. So these can, look at this, that's all new. I can use these to wire or redirect in the direction I want. So we got to look for a new taper where the top is dead. See, sometimes the top has died, so we got to watch it very carefully. All that top has died. See, that has died as well. So we're going to create a new taper from that. Of course, at this point in time, we can also determine where we want the new front as well. If this is a better front from this side, I may choose to make this the front rather than that the front. If you come and see, the spread is better from this side. So we'll develop all the branches there and then make the taper grow that way. So isn't it exciting that you can create virtually anything you wish to? People used to use the term programming trees. So in bonsai, we are really doing programming. Wherever you want a thing to grow, or wherever you want the design to develop, we can program it in precisely the way we want. So it's really getting back to the trunk, getting back to basics, and then starting all over again. So that is the fun of making bonsai like that. So there are quite a few. I will show you some which are in pots, and because they're in pots, they haven't grown that much. So we will go to another area, we'll show you some more Trident projects. And of course, don't forget to seal. I'm going to seal some of the leaves. It's a bit late at this time of the year, but the other thing I will do, maybe next year, is to do approach grafting. Approach grafting is something I've done in the past. And by approach grafting, I can show you on this tree, there was an example of approach grafting. And I will show you some stills of what we used to do before. Yeah, you see there's a approach graft there. You see this branch. Can you see this little loop here? You see? This was a young branch. We took this here and took it here, and that became a big branch. So that's how you do the approach grafting. You can still see where it was joined. I hadn't cut it off because I wanted to show the example of doing that. So you can always use, this is the sort of branch you want because this is all 1 year's growth. You can bring it back on itself and then touch it into the bark and you will get a new trunk. But this I'm going to probably just use new branches completely. So this is going to stay in this ground for at least another year. So we will watch this with interest. So this is what we get great fun from doing. You know, when you are into bonsai, the waiting is one thing, but the fun of anticipating what will come in the future is even more exciting. But this is what takes the time, getting that thick trunk like that. And for those of us who like these big chunky trees, you couldn't ask for more. So I don't often show you this part of the garden, but this is where I have another dozen or so big tridents, all in different stages of being developed. And you can see what's happening. You know, they look a bit unkempt, but as I say, there's a reason for letting it grow like this, because I just want to make the tree strong. And towards the end of the summer, I then prune it back after it's had a time to feed into the branches and trees. So I don't keep them trimmed all the time. Only if it's a specimen, I keep it trimmed. But the trees which I want to develop and change the design or change the shape, this is what I do. So there is what we call method in our madness. So that's trimmed. Now let me show you another instance here. You must be wondering, why did I leave all that, you see? But this is how we develop taper. So this tree has been grown from scratch, and from here to here, this must be about 5 years growth. So the first one was grown there, then cut here, then cut here. And from here to here, I haven't cut it. I cut it, let it go there to get it thick. So this is to get the taper thick. The next stage would be, if I wanted to, I can remove that. Probably I'll do it next spring, and the taper will come up here, and then the tree will be developed. So that's how we do that. So I'm not always in a rush to cut everything off. So wherever you see long shoots growing, that is the purpose behind it. So all these long shoots are either to get taper or whatever. So these are all cuttings which we have developed, and the long shoots are left to develop the new taper. The side shoots I can get rid of, but the tapers certainly won't be cut off in a hurry. So I'll have a choice of about 3 different tapers. That one we don't need, so that's what we do with that one. So Let's show you some other big ones. We've got so many interesting tridents that, you know, as we say, you can eat your heart out. Look at this one. This one again, we don't want some of the branches growing too long if they're growing in the wrong place. See, that's another instance of growing taper. See, all that tall shoot, that is being grown so that I have taper from here, and then probably cut it there, and then we get new branches. So that is that one. So this big boy, I think the front is there. So the shoots again are grown to strengthen the tree. Either strengthen the tree or create taper. So if this is the front, I may want to change it that way. So that could be a new taper, like so. So the taper is going back on that way. So I wait till this time of the year to do it. I don't do it earlier on in the spring. That's a long shoot. Look at that. That is all like 2 or 3 months growth, 4 to 5 foot. Again, you can imagine how it's feeding back into the tree and making the trunk thick. So when we talk of making trunks thick, there's no substitute for letting them grow and being patient. So that's going to be the new taper there. If you go there, Josh, will show you another one. This is a really big fellow here. Look at that. Look at that one. Look at that. Eat your heart out.
Well, I'll move this one away from you.
No, that's okay. So can you see what's going on here? So we are developing a new leader here. So we got to keep an eye on where the leader will develop. So this is where you've got to really watch it. You see all these long shoots, all one season's growth. Yeah. If only I was into making cuttings. But as I say, how much can you propagate? There's a limit to what I can keep doing. Can't be too greedy. Just enjoy what we have. So the main purpose is really experimentation. We're forever doing experiments to see what will happen if you do this or if you do that. So that's a very vigorous branch. So I have to watch the growth so that all the energies don't just keep going into the branch. See, these vertical shoots, they're coming from one of the branches which we don't want. So now's the time to take them off. I think we'll have to return to these trees in the autumn or the winter when they've lost all the leaves, because you can't really see the detail like this. And we can change the front or whatever. But the main thing is to make the tree strong, as I say. That's the sole purpose at this point in time. So there are leaders coming everywhere. Yeah, this top could have died at some stage, so we may have to cut that off. I think I'll get Josh to do something to that. But you can't see the detail. I'm also bearing in mind that sometimes the long branches can be used for in-arching. See, that could be in-arched. Maybe next year what we could do, you bring this branch down here, like so, in-arch it to the trunk and you get a new branch like that. So I may keep some of these for that experiment. So you can see what fun we're going to have doing different types of experiments. In fact, the front could be one of these sides as well. As I say, we'll have to look at it again in the winter time.
That could be a good type of thing. This one here.
Yeah, this could be a new leader. Or there. Sometimes leaders die, so you got to create new ones. Yeah, there are two leaders, two possibilities there. There and there. Okay, so we won't rush this, so we got to determine which of these can serve as new leaders. And some of these will be kept for in-arching. So we have lots of interesting things in store here. The more I look, the more I realize that there are so many possible fronts to this tree. And that's another one. You see, again, all this only comes with age. Only comes with age. So many of these long branches, again, I can reserve and put aside for in-arching. I think I'll have to be patient, leave these alone, and in the autumn when I can see the structure, I will then decide which of them to make the leader. So again, all these, all different thicknesses.
This is my size. Not too big.
Yeah. So as we say, we don't want to be greedy. We will make some into smaller bonsai. So you can see, because we have such a lot of material, I can afford to have fun with them and make experiments. So again, this has developed a nice shape, very nice leader. See, this could be a very nice leader. You can see the structure here. So all these have been developed from scratch on the nursery. And that taper from there to there has taken about 10 years to make. So although we can say that bonsai is relatively easy, patience does come into it. So this we will pot up into a bonsai pot next spring. Okay? So you can see how we're developing these. I hope you've enjoyed this little foray.